Okay, good evening, everyone. So in the last class, before closing the session, we created the life cycle policy, right? And the life cycle policy is to create the automated snapshots of EBS volumes, whichever is having a specific tag called backup yes. Whatever the EBS volumes are having this particular tag, those EBS volumes will be automatically backed up every day in the morning, like 6:30 a.m. or something, right? 6:30 a.m. So before going to the next concept in the EBS, let us verify that today morning the backups were created for how many EBS volumes. Totally, we have almost like 12 EBS volumes, right? Okay, so where is that EBS feature exists? EC2 service. Navigate to EC2 service first. And then on the left side, just you can click on the volumes. So these are the 12 volumes, right? Out of these 12, we manually assign the tag called backup yes to only 3 volumes. So those 3 volumes will be configured for the automated backups. So yesterday, before closing the session, how many snapshots we have seen? 1, which is the manual snapshot. So if I click on the snapshots button, you can see there are 4 snapshots available. Out of those, this is the manual snapshot which we created manually. And the remaining 3 are the snapshots of the 3 EBS volumes. Even though you have 12 EBS volumes, only 3 volumes will be created with automated snapshot. And how to identify whether these are the manual or automate? So here in the description, you can see that if that particular snapshot is created by an automated snapshot policy, you can see the description as it is created for a policy. And in that, there is a schedule called schedule once, daily once. If you remember, in the schedule option, I used a term called daily once, right? Because of that schedule, using this particular policy, which ends with FD70, right? Because of that policy, these snapshots were created. So if you keep it as is, and if you come back after 1 week, how many backups you can see? 12. Because we created the retention period as of 4 days, right? Only 4 days backups will be available. Actually, in the next for the total 7 days, every day 3 backups, and for total 7 is like 21 backups. But it will not maintain those many backups. It only maintain the latest 4 days backups. The reason is I selected the retention period as of 4 days. So this was created today, right? On 24th. 24th is the day 1. 25th will be the day 2. 26th is day 3. 27th, the day 4. If you check on 28th, to this backup will not exist. If you come back on 28th, you cannot see all these 3, because on 28th, the age of these 3 snapshots will be 5 days. As per the retention period, only 4 days backups will be available. Whenever the snapshot is more than 4 days older, then automatically the snapshot will be deleted. So this is what, like, how we can create the automated snapshot and manual snapshot. 90% we will rely on the automated snapshots only, because the manual snapshots we cannot create on each and every EC2 instance and each and every EBS volume manually, because we might have like some kind of like 20 EC2 instances. By selecting each and every instance and creating a snapshot is a big task. If you configure this lifecycle policy, then every required EBS volume or the EC2 instance will be automatically created with a snapshot. Okay. So as of now, we have created multiple EBS volumes, right? We have created a lot of EBS volumes. And finally, where we attached the 1 GB volume, 1A, I think, right? If not, like to server 2, whatever it is, but on one EC2 instance, the 1 GB volume is attached. For some time, assume that the 1 GB volume got attached to server 1 only. So this is your server 1. And I have a 1 GB volume. 1 GB volume. And this was associated or attached to your server 1 EC2 instance. And what is the type of the EBS volume? GP2 with 1 GB in size. Let us say after a few days, you find out that almost like 90% of the disk space has been utilized. So only you are left with only 100 GB. And I would like to increase this 1 GB with like 3 GB or so. I would like to increase the 1 GB with the like up to 3 GB. This is a drive E, right? This is drive E in the server 1. What if I create a new EBS volume with 3 GB, and if I attach the server 1, what will happen? It will create a new drive. It will not increase the existing drive space, right? Now, what my requirement is, I would like to increase the EBS volume with total 3 GB. If I add 2 more GB to the existing EBS volume, then that will become a 3 GB. Is it possible? Is it possible? If yes, can I increase the size of the volume without losing the data? Because on this EBS volume, we have already one file called file1.txt. If I increase the size, are we going to lose this particular data? We will see that. So these parts will be comes under volume management, or this is the one use case. And the second case will be the 1 GB volume is GP2. Let us say I am going to use some application which requires more IOPS, which is not available in the GP2. So my requirement is I would like to upgrade this volume from GP2 to GP3. Is that possible without losing the data? Yes, you can. You can change the volume type from any volume type to any volume type. There is no restriction. And you can increase the size up to the maximum, but you cannot reduce the size. Not only on Amazon, in any cloud, they don't support you to reduce the size of the EBS volumes. So we have a feature called volume management. By using this volume management, we can change the type of the EBS volume, and we can increase the size of the existing EBS volume without losing the data. And also there will be no downtime during your upgrading or during your increasing the size. There will be no loss of data and there will be no downtime. What is the meaning of a downtime? Let us say you are using a web server website. Someone might say like the website is down like for 1 hour, right? Like there is some issue and the website is not accessible for 1 hour. So we call that 1 hour as a downtime. That means during the downtime, your services are not available for the end users. So while you are increasing the size or while you are modifying the volume type, the volume is available for the access. It will not go offline or it will not go down. 24/7, while you are modifying the volume also, the volume is available for access. And here there is one restriction. What is that restriction is each volume can be modified only once in a 6 hours window. Any EBS volume can be modified only once in a 6 hour window. What is the meaning of that? Modification means it can be changing the volume type, or it can be increasing the size of the volume. These two will be called as a volume modification. Let us say at 6 p.m. I changed the volume type of the EBS volume. So if I would like to do another modification on that EBS volume, I have to wait for 6 hours. I cannot modify the same volume for more than once in any 6 hours window. If you modify once, you have to wait for 6 hours. You cannot modify the second time in the same 6 hours. That we will check that. Okay, right. So first here, what we do is increase the size of the EBS volume 1 GB dash. What is the name of that? Wait a second. Let me check the name. 1 GB dash 1A dash GP2, right? 1 GB dash 1A dash GP2. Increase the size of the EBS volume from 1 GB to 3 GB. Assume that it is already attached to server 1. Assume that the EBS volume is already attached. So no need to reattach it again. So that's why what I do is, before modifying the size of the volume, I will check that the EBS volume is attached to the server 1 or not. And also I can log in, because we need to log in to check whether the files are available or not, right? Okay. So let me log into the server 1 also. Just these are like required before modifying the volume. So these are the server 1 details, which we noted down in the last sessions. So this is the IP address. If not, you can attach to server 2 also, that doesn't matter. But whatever the server it was attached, to that server you have to log in. Wait. Yeah, Just I am logging into the server 1 just to check that the 1 GB drive is attached and the files are accessible. Okay, let me open this file explorer. Yes, the 1 GB drive is attached. Okay, the 1 GB drive got attached. What happened? And there is only one file, right? And what is the size of the 1 GB drive? Let me reopen. Okay, so here, this is the one. What is the size of the E drive? 1 GB. Okay, now we are going to increase the size of this particular drive. In the backend, that is the disk 1 or disk 2, right? Okay, so now let me minimize this. Later we can log in. Now let us note down the steps. How can we modify the size of the EBS volume? We are not modifying the type, just we are modifying the size from 1 GB to 3 GB. So this is what we are doing right now. This 1 GB is available, which is in the red. Now we are going to attach 2 more GB to the same volume. Remember, we are not creating a new EBS volume. Just we are adding some additional space to the existing EBS volume. Okay, right. So now let us go back to here. Navigate to EC2 service and click on volumes, which is under Elastic Block Store. And select the EBS volume on which you would like to increase the size of the volume. Select that. Click on Actions. And here you can see there is one option called Modify Volume. click on modify volume. And don't change the volume type, because the type we can change later, we can see. So select 3. Just size has to be 3. Click on modify. And then it will ask you for the confirmation. Click on modify. Now you can see, where is that? This one, right? Just refresh. What is the size? 3 GB. But here you can see what is happening. Optimizing. It is adding the additional 3 GB and it will optimize the hard drive. While it is in the process also, you can access your existing 1 GB space. There will be no downtime and there is no effect in the access of the existing EBS volume. That will be increased in the backend. But once we are done with the upgrade, like optimization, then we will log into the server 1 and we can check that the 3 GB is available or not. Now we already initiated the process to attach 2 more GB, right? Now once it is completely done, now it is in the optimizing state, right? So once it is done 100%, what we can expect? Can I see the 3 GB as a drive directly? No. Why? Because on this 1 GB, already we have a file system of NTFS, right? But this 2 GB is unallocated space. So what we have to do? Let us say earlier we try to right click and click on simple volume, right? If we do the same on this 2 GB, this 2 GB will be available as an additional drive like F drive. But that is not our goal, right? What is our goal? Combine the 1 GB and 2 GB. So there will be one option called extend. Extend. So this 1 GB is the existing space, right? Which is an E drive. We can extend the 1 GB with the unallocated space 2 GB. So total it will become 1 GB plus 2 GB. This 2 GB will be merged into the 1 GB partition. So whatever the file system is available on the 1 GB drive, the same file system will be applicable to the 2 GB also. So entirely it will combine and the single 3 GB drive will be available. Okay, so now once we are done with that, then what we have to do is log into server 1 and observe that the newly added 2 GB is available as unallocated space. That will be available as unallocated space. Then what we have to do? Extend the existing 1 GB partition to 3 GB using the unallocated 2 GB space. We have to extend the existing 1 GB partition to 3 GB using the unallocated 2 GB space. And this unallocated space will be available on the right side of the 1 GB. If you have some unallocated space on the left side, that we cannot use. But generally, whenever you add increase, that will be available on the right side only. But don't get into those things. Those are into the operating system administration part. We don't need that. But whenever you increase the size, the additional space will be available on the right side of the existing partition. Okay, so now let us see. We log into the EC2 instance, right? Still, we are able to see 1 GB only. Just let me refresh. Still, it is 1 GB. There is no automatic increase of the size. Now, how can we observe that the additional 2 GB is available as unallocated space or not? By using disk management, right? Okay. So what I do is I will open the run and I will type disk mgmt.msc. Let me maximize it. So here you can see we increase the disk 2 from 1 GB to 2 GB, right? The 2 GB is available as unallocated. So as like in general, if I right click here and if you click on new simple volume, this 2 GB will be available as F drive. F drive. That is not our requirement, right? What is our requirement? The volume E to be increased from 1 GB to 3 GB by adding this 2 GB unallocated space. So right click on existing 1 GB. Then you can see there is one option called extend volume. Before that, there is one more option called shrink volume. What is that? Not decreasing. Actually, this E drive will be divided into two parts. Okay, that will be divided into two parts. Let me show you that. Shrink volume. So it will available like dividing, but it is not allowing you to divide into two parts. It seems like 630 MB. You cannot divide into two equal parts. That depends on the file system. That depends on the size, what you are utilizing already based on that. But generally, nobody will, what we call that, split that partition into two partitions. Okay. So right click on the 1 GB drive, click on extend volume. Then you will get this wizard, then click on next. So this will be extended with the additional 2 GB space available on disk 2, right? Whatever the unallocated space available, that will be listed here. Let us say you have 2 or 3 unallocated spaces that you can see here. Select disk 2, click on next, finish. What happened? Now it became a 3 GB. What will happen to that existing data? If I go there, wait, something wrong. So what is the size of the volume? 3 GB. If I open, I can see the file and you can see all the data. That means you don't lose any data even if you increase the size. Can we reduce the size? No, you cannot reduce the size of the volume. If you would like to check that, you can go to any EBS volume. We have a lot of EBS volumes here, right? So let me go to, here it is, 7 GB drive, right? Let me try to reduce that to 6 GB, which is not possible. If you type 6 GB, what is the message you got? The size of a volume can only be increased, not decreased. But EBS volume cannot be decreased. EBS volume will be 7 GB only. Let us say we have a 4 GB, 3 GB drive, right? The 3 GB is a 3 GB. You can divide that 3 GB into 3 1 GB partitions. Hard disk is the same. But that hard disk, you can decide how many partitions you need. 1 partition or 100 partitions. Okay, but you cannot reduce the size of the hard disk, right? So volume is the fixed one. Volume is different, partition is different. Volumes are, these are the volumes, right? So here I have 125 GB volume. I can create this entire 125 GB into 10 partitions in my Windows computer. That is a Windows management. That comes to Windows storage management. That is not related to AWS. What AWS relates is increasing this 125 to 500,000. That's the only AWS related thing. And the volume management, like the partition creation, will be depending on your operating system. Let us say if you are using Linux, then you cannot use NTFS file system. That will comes with ext4 or ext3. Okay, so we cannot reduce the size of the volume. So you can write down like EBS volume cannot be reduced. EBS volume size cannot be reduced. So now what we do is, again, modify the type of the EBS volume, the same volume. This was already modified once in the last 5 to 10 minutes, right? Again, we are trying to modify the volume again. Or you can increase the size, or you can change the type, whatever it is. Can I do that? But earlier, I haven't modified the type, right? Earlier, I modified the size. So does that particular restriction applicable to each modification separately, or it will consider any modification as a once? Earlier, I modified the size, right? Now I am trying to modify the type. Is that possible or not? You cannot modify any EBS volume twice in a 6 hours window. That I will show you. So select this one. This is what we already modified, right? So if I go modify volume, if I select the GP3, and if I click on modify, what is the error? You have reached the maximum modification rate per volume limit. Wait at least 6 hours between modifications per EBS volume. What is the meaning of that? Can I modify any other EBS volume? You can modify other volumes. The restriction is only for that particular EBS volume. Okay. So now here we have another EBS volume, right? What is this? Or not this one. Let us go with this one. Now I would like to modify the type of this volume from GP3 to IO1. Like entirely I'm moving from general purpose SSD to provisioned IOPS SSD. Can we do that? Yes, you can. Not only across SSD, you can modify from SSD to HDD also. You can modify this GP3 to throughput optimized or cold HDD also. Give me a second. So this is not possible, right? Because we need to wait for 6 hours. Now modify the type of the EBS volume from GP3 to IO1. So before modifying, let us note down all the details here. Okay, here I can say the current type, and then here I can say new type. And here I'm not trying to change the volume size. What is the size right now? Size is 2 GB. Okay, so current type is GP3, right? GP3. And new type will be IO1. Okay, so in this IO1, what is the minimum size of the volume? What is the minimum size of the volume in the IO1 type? So can I create with 2 GB? Then what we have to do? Okay, so then after size, what is the IOPS? Current IOPS are 3000. And then throughput is 125. And what else we have? Okay. So now the first challenge is to convert this volume type, the minimum size to be 4 GB, right? Because IO1, you cannot create a volume with less than 4 GB. So now how can we convert, or how can we change the type of the 2 GB volume from GP3 to IO1. How can we do that? You guys can say that first I will increase the size, then we can change the type, right? But if I increase the size, I have to wait for 6 hours. But I have to do it immediately. Then how can I do that? While you are changing the type, you can increase the size with a 4 and you can modify the type. One modification means at a time you can change any number of values, right? All the things will be considered as one-time modification. Okay, in the IO1 for 4 GB, how many IOPS you can get? IOPS. Just go back to your IO1 features. What is the maximum ratio? 50. 4 multiplied with 50. How many? 4 multiplied with 50. 200, right? But what is the current IOPS here? So can I get 3000 on IO1? No. That will be reduced to 200. You have to reduce it. Otherwise, it will not work. On GP3, we are getting 125 Mbps. But what about here throughput? Not applicable. So it will be removed. You will not get this guaranteed 125 MB per second throughput in IO1. So let us try to modify that. While we are modifying, we will observe all these values. So to do that, just go to your EBS volume and select the EBS volume on which you would like to modify the volume type. And right now the size is 2 GB, which is not fulfilling the requirement for IO1. So obviously the size has to be increased. And the current IOPS are 3000, again, which is over the limit supported by IO1. Because the maximum ratio is 1:50. For 4 GB, you can get up to maximum 200. But already we have a 3000, so you have to reduce it. So select the EBS volume, click on Actions, click on Modify Volume. And the volume type we are modifying, right? Select IO1. Immediately you will get the error messages here. What are the error messages? The first one is a provisioned IOPS SSD volume must be at least 4 GB in size. So this 2 GB you have to change for minimum 4 GB. And then what is the next one? Maximum allowed IOPS for size 4 GB volume is 200. But here it is 3000. So you have to select a value between 100 and 200. You can select between 100 and 200. And there is no throughput concept here. Click on Modify, Modify. At a time, you can change any number of values, but you cannot change all the values individually multiple times in a 6 hours window. So now we have seen like modifying the size from the same SSD to SSD, right? Can I do that from SSD to a regular HDD? Yes, you can. And you can do like vice versa also. So here I have one GP2 volume, which is SSD, right? Let me try to change that from GP2 to standard. Standard is a regular magnetic hard drive, right? So there is no restriction that from which volume to which volume you are going to change. Okay, right. So now what I do is how to delete the EBS volumes. How can we delete the EBS volumes? What I do is whatever the EBS volumes are not yet attached, I will try to delete all the things. Okay, so let me change the volume state. So here and to the top. Can I delete multiple EBS volumes at a time? Just type delete and you can delete. So all the EBS volumes got deleted, which are not yet attached. But still you can see there is one more volume which is not yet attached. Let me delete that also. Just select that EBS volume, click on actions, delete. You can click on delete. So now here, whatever the EBS volumes we have, all the EBS volumes are in use, right? Okay, you can see that server 2 is having only one volume, right? So that obviously that will be the root volume. And server 3 is having one root volume and one EBS volume. And then the server 1 is having one EBS volume and one root volume. So we have a 3 servers, right? Out of those, 2 servers are having 2 EBS volumes. Now, what I would like to check is, if I delete all the EC2 instances, let us say, let me show you the thing here. So we have a 3 EC2 instances, right? This is a server 1. And this is a server 2. And we have a server 3. On server 3, there is one EBS volume attached. On server 2, there are 0 EBS volumes attached. And on server 3, again, one EBS volume attached. And apart from that, here one root volume is existing. Here one root volume is available. And here also one root volume is available, right? So by default, what will happen to these volumes if I terminate the EC2 instances? So here, what we are going to do is terminate any EC2 instance which is attached with at least one EBS volume. Whenever you have an EC2 instance means definitely that will have a root volume. Without having a root volume, you will not have any EC2 instance. At least one EBS volume means, so we are deleting one EC2 instance which is having one root volume and one EBS volume, so that we can observe what will happen to the EBS volumes and what will happen to the root volumes by default. I'm talking about the default action. Okay, what you guys can guess? So let me go and delete all the 3 servers. Out of those 3, one server is having only root volume and the other 2 servers are having EBS volumes also. So let me go there. How to delete all the instances at a time? Select all EC2 instances, instance state, and terminate. Now what will happen? Root volumes already we have verified, right? As of now, we have created multiple EC2 instances. And whenever you delete the EC2 instance, the root volumes got deleted automatically. For the first time, we are deleting an EC2 instance which is connected with an EBS volume, right? So what will happen to those EBS volumes? Will they be deleted automatically or they will be available? Okay. So here the EBS volumes we created separately, right? So because of that reason, by default, whenever you delete your EC2 instance, EBS volumes will not be deleted automatically. So you have to delete the EBS volumes manually. Even though you delete the EC2 instance, the EBS volume will be preserved. That will be available forever until you delete that manually. Root volumes will be deleted automatically. So you can see all the 3 instances got deleted. If I go to the volume section, how many volumes you can see? Only 2. Because whenever you delete this server, the server got deleted and this will be deleted. Server got deleted and this will be deleted. Server got deleted and this will be deleted. So how many EBS volumes you have? The 1 and 2. These are the 2 we got preserved in your account. Can I use these 2 EBS volumes with any other EC2 instance? Yes, you can use. Okay, so here make a note, because that will be important point. Anytime you can, you might be asked with a interview kind of a question. by default, root volumes will be deleted and additional EBS volumes will be preserved if we terminate the EC2 instance. This is the by default action. This is by default action. By default, all the root volumes will be deleted and then additional EBS volumes will be deleted. Okay. If I delete the EBS volumes manually, what will happen to the associated snapshots? So here I have 2 more EBS volumes, right? If I delete the EBS volumes, I can say that there is no EBS volume available in my Amazon account. But already there are like 3 automated snapshots and 1 manual snapshot available. What will happen to those snapshots? Automatically they will be deleted along with your EBS volume. If that happens, there is no use of the backups, right? Backups is if something went wrong with your EBS volume, we can use the backups to restore. Even if you go to the snapshots, you can see all the snapshots will be available. Any snapshot, it can be a manual or it can be an automated snapshot. All snapshots will be preserved even we delete the EBS volumes. Even you delete the EBS volumes, the associated snapshots will be preserved. Okay. If I keep this as is and if I leave it, so all these snapshots will be available forever? No. Then when these snapshots will be deleted? All 4? Only 3. The automated snapshots will be deleted after the retention period, and for the manual snapshots, there will be no retention period. So here, all snapshots will be preserved even we delete the EBS volumes until the retention period. Wait. All snapshots will be preserved even we delete the EBS volumes, but automated snapshots will be deleted after the retention period. So if you delete the EBS volume, the snapshots will not be deleted because you delete the EBS volume, but the automated snapshots will be deleted after the retention period. So I will keep those automated snapshots as is. So after like 5 days or so, if we come back to the snapshots and if you check that, automatically the 3 snapshots will be deleted. But the manual snapshots will be available forever until you delete the manual snapshots manually. Okay. So this is about the EBS volumes, like different types of EBS volumes and different, what we call that, volume management, how to attach, creating a manual snapshot, automated snapshots. These are about the EBS volume. Whenever you are creating the EC2 instance, the storage must be the EBS volume. The storage must be the EBS volume. Okay. So are you guys clear with this EBS volume or any questions? Okay. So as of now, we are done with the EC2 and EBS, right? So anyways, we are still at the initial stages. So the next topic will be a different storage concept. Yes, 3 simple storage service, but tomorrow is Saturday, right? So if we start the topic again, we have to give a break on Sunday. So what we do is tomorrow we will go with some kind of like question and answers. Like as of now, I think you guys started the practicals, right? So if you have faced any issues or if you have any doubts, So completely tomorrow, we can go with those questions only. So we don't start any new topic because it's a Saturday and I don't want to give a break after the new topic. So Monday, we will start the next topic, simple storage service. Tomorrow also, we do have a class. So if you have any questions or if you have any issues while you're doing the practicals, you guys can come up with your laptop also so that I can help you on like resolving the issues. Okay. Right. So any questions for now? Okay. No issues. Okay. So I will upload this document also. So mostly by tomorrow while you're coming for the session, just try to complete the practical so that you guys can come up with the questions. Okay. Right. Any other questions before closing? And if you are clear, you guys can leave. If you have any questions, you can wait and you can ask me. And also tomorrow also we have this kind of a question and answer session only. Like with it might be with the practical related or anything on like whatever we have covered as of now, we will go with those topics.